What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Controlled Chaos Gaming. My name is Andy, and it's been a minute. Actually, it's been 3 months. We really appreciate all of you that have stuck out for our next videos. We have a ton of content upcoming and a lot of new changes to discuss. But we're going to get into those on a later day. Today, we've got an amazing matchup for you guys. We've got myself playing Terapagos with Dusknoir, and of course a 101 Pidgeot line just for people to get upset when you pull it off. The other side of the match is going to be Matt. Matt is playing a control deck, which features the brand new Milotic EX and Pikachu EX. Both cards that are really, really strong against both Terapagos and a lot of other decks. I'm excited to see who takes the crown here, but before we get into it, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Head on over to Kayfabe Cards in Riverton, Utah for all things tabletop. This store is home to Pokemon, One Piece, Flesh and Blood, and more, selling both singles and sealed product in-store and online. You'll find their massive assortment of Pokemon plushies, sleeves, deck boxes, and other staple products. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Kayfabe Cards. We'll see you there. And both players are ready to go. Matt on the left side, starting with that Mimikyu. Going to take a look at his hand. Looks like a couple good options here. Probably wants to use that heavy ball to check the prizes quickly, but is instead going to use the nest ball. And it looks like the choice is going to be that Rotom. We're going to see another play here, the Ultra Ball. So indeed, getting rid of that heavy ball does not have any important Pokemon prized, which is good for the control player. Of course, the prizes are pretty irreversible in the control matchups nowadays with no Peonia to save them. Looks like that Ultra Ball is likely to search out that Pidgeot, which means there is probably another way to get that Pidgey onto the field, and it looks like it's going to be a Forest Sealstone. Looks like pretty lucky to get that Forest Sealstone in the starting hand here. Of course, does activate Star Alchemy, an ability that allows you to grab any card in the deck, but only once per game because of that V-Star power. And it looks like that choice is actually a Phoebus. And then an instant charge is going to come out from Matt. On the other side, we have myself playing. We're going to be playing Terapagos. Looks like a pretty decent start with a Hoot Hoot and a Duskull on the bench. Of course, not being able to attack this Mimikyu is going to be very important here. So going to attach the DTE, a Vitality Band, and use Iono. Try and offset that instant charge that was just used. Looks like a Duskull comes down here, and a Nest Ball. This is likely to grab a Fan Rotom. And it looks like the choice is that Fan Rotom, and then immediately going to use its ability, which can only be used on turn 1, to grab 3 Pokemon with 100 HP or less that are colorless, called Fan Call. Going to search for a Hoot Hoot and 2 Noctowl to potentially use those Noctowl in later turns. And the Hoot Hoot does make itself comfortable on the bench there as well. A pass over to the opponent, so back to Matt's turn. We're going to see an Arven. This is a pretty great start here. Can opt for a tool card, likely Bravery Charm, as well as an item card. There's quite a few options here. Of course, Rare Candy for Pidgeot, which is, there's currently no Pidgey, so that's likely not the choice. But we might see an Ultra Ball for Milotic. We could see a Switch card to get this Mimikyu out of the active. Quite a few options. Looks like it is going to be Hero's Cape, actually, and that Ultra Ball. And that Ultra Ball here is going to be used right away, likely to grab a Milotic EX, discarding both the Luxray and Gravity Gemstone. Gravity Gemstone, a new addition from the Stellar Crown set. And it is indeed going to be that Milotic EX. Of course, we have a proxy down, but this is a brand new card from the new Surging Sparks set. This Pokemon cannot be attacked by Terra Pokemon, which includes this Terapagos EX. So going to be pretty difficult for the Terapagos to get over it. A double turbo energy for turn, and going to use Rotom's ability to end the turn and draw 3. Back over to Terapagos' side, there are quite a few plays that can happen this turn. The most likely is to try and get some Dusknoir established, so using that Noctowl here, with its Jewel Seeker ability, is going to get access to 2 trainer cards of any kind, as long as you have a Terra Pokemon in play, which that Terapagos does fulfill that requirement. So likely to see some options here like Rare Candy, Ultra Ball, could grab Prime Catcher to attack the Rotom. Really endless options available to Terapagos. Looks like one of those options is going to be a Rare Candy. Let's see what that other option is. And it looks like it's going to be... this is a proxy card. This is actually a Prime Catcher as the option. So, looks like a Rare Candy and a Prime Catcher were the 2 choices. We are immediately going to see another card from hand played, an Ultra Ball, discarding both a Terapagos and Iono, likely to grab a Dusknoir. Dusknoir, of course, able to knock itself out, give the opponent a prize card, but in return does 13 damage counters on one Pokemon on your opponent's board. That can knock out Mimikyu, that can do combinations of 2 of Dusknoir to knock out Rotom, or come very close to knocking out Milotic. So, very good options in this matchup, especially because the Mimikyu is not able to be attacked by that Terapagos. And we're going to see a Rare Candy here, and Dusknoir is going to put 13 damage counters on that Milotic EX. This is going to set up for some pretty good math. Of course, 10 short of another Dusknoir knockout with 270 HP. We're going to see that Night Stretcher bring back the Dusknoir, so we could see a second one this turn. And here we go, going to use Jewel Seeker to grab 2 trainer cards. Looks like eyeing up a couple options here. That Counter Catcher could be one of them. Looking at the hand though, it is pretty sparse. Probably going to grab the, looks like a Research and a Rare Candy. Will need to reveal those cards, but does want to keep the options closed for the opponent to not see what the potential grabs are. So going to grab that Research as well as a Rare Candy. Likely again to use that Dusknoir ability once again. But we'll see who the target is, whether it's this Mimikyu or the Milotic EX. And here we go, that Rare Candy onto Dusknoir going to evolve. And then we see a Prime Catcher bringing up the Rotom and promoting the Dusknoir here. The Dusknoir can actually, when it knocks itself out, allow for a pivot, so a great option from the Terapagos side. Looks like we might see another Pokemon played down here. Of course, going to knock out the Dusknoir first, put all but 10 damage on that Milotic. We're going to then see an Ultra Ball here. Looks like discarding the Ursaluna and the Energy Lotto. Both very good cards, so the hand looks like it might be pretty good here. We're going to see another Duskull benched here. And looks like just an attack. Of course, using the United... The heck is it called? Using the attack from Terapagos to do 110 damage thanks to that Vitality Band. Looks like Matt here is going to go ahead and use a penny to pick up that Rotom, likely to promote the Mimikyu here once again. And that is the choice. Going to see that Rotom re-benched, interestingly, does opt to want to draw more of those cards. And we're going to see a Hero's Cape here on that Milotic. And a Mist Energy on the active Mimikyu. This Mist Energy not going to do much, but provide a retreat option in this matchup. And we're going to see Instant Charge, drawing 3 more cards. Looks like just going to pass the turn here. Doesn't have any options in hand. So back over to the control side. And we're going to see an Arven here. Arven likely to grab a Bravery Charm, but that other option is still up in the air. We're going to see what it is. Looks like a Bravery Charm and a Nest Ball. Nest Ball could grab another Pokemon, either Pidgey, Mimikyu, or any of their options similar. And it is going to be that Pidgey. Of course, this is the Call for Family Pidgey. We do recommend that if you're playing Control, you do play the Call for Family Pidgey because of those very awkward beginning hands. And if you go second, you can use that Call for Family to search for a couple more Pokemon like Mimikyu. Looks like we're going to see a Bravery Charm on that Pidgey to prevent it from a potential Dusclops, and then an instant charge to end the turn. So back over to the Terapagos side, we're going to see a Night Stretcher. Looks like for that Dusknoir. And a Rare Candy comes out, immediately using the Dusknoir to knock out that Hero's Cape Milotic. This is going to take 2 prizes for the Terapagos side, but the Control player is now down to 3 prizes remaining. Of course, all 3 of those activated from Dusknoir. We're going to see a Double Turbo Energy on that Fan Rotom and a Manual Retreat into the Rotom to use its Assault Landing attack. Assault Landing does 70 damage if there's a Stadium in play, but of course with the Double Turbo it'll only be 50. 50 is enough to 2-shot this Mimikyu, wisely enough. Back over to the Control side here. We're really wanting to get a Pidgeot established. Of course, the Bravery Charm was to prevent the Dusclops, but there are no more Duskull on the bench. So, kind of free to let that Pidgey be for a turn, but really wanting to establish something here. And with that Pidgeot, does allow for quite a few options. Looks like Silene is the choice, getting 1 head. It's going to put back that Milotic, potentially setting up for a Thornton play at a later time. And it looks like trying to avoid an Iono here. Matt passes over the turn to myself here, and nothing really to do but use that Assault Landing. So going to take a knockout and shore up the prizes 3-3 here. As Matt gets to promote, he promotes that Rotom V. So opting to play around the potential Iono by not using Instant Charge there. Of course, there was no Iono played, so didn't end up mattering. But the Thornton is used here to switch that Phoebus out and immediately evolve into Milotic, attaching a Water Energy. Gonna see then a pass over. Of course, no more Rotom means no more options for Instant Charge, but we do say a Poffin on the other side, gonna grab potentially another Fan Rotom for its Assault Landing attack, and a Hoot Hoot to end up evolving. Does have access, of course, now to 8 potential bench Pokemon with that Area 0 Under Depths. And just going to use Assault Landing, and it's back over to the Control side. We do see that Double Turbo Energy, so now able to use the, I believe, Hypno Splash attack, which does 160 damage, 140 with the Double Turbo, and does have the option to put them to sleep. We are going to see an Airy here. Looks like it hits a Switch and a Nest Ball. Not really important at this moment in time, but could be potentially in the future. And we're going to see that Hypno Splash, discard the Rotom, and back over to the Terapagos side here. The Fan Rotom is promoted and a Double Turbo attached. We're going to see a Night Stretcher, of course. And it looks like the option is Blood Moon Ursaluna. And a Noctowl is used here. Noctowl going to search out an Iono, and it is a Counter Catcher. Completely good in this scenario, as it can actually bring up a bench Pokemon because of the Control player taking that last prize card. So likely to see, yep, the counter catcher here is going to bring up that Pidgey, and then Iono is played. So going to shuffle the hand, put it at the bottom of the deck, and both players will get both 3 and 2 respectively. And we're going to see an Assault Landing for 50 damage, nothing too crazy here. We're going to see if Matt has anything to respond to this. With only 3 cards, the control side is going to struggle quite a bit, of course, unless they find a way to retreat. And it looks like an Arven is played here, could potentially grab Switch Cart to try and save this Pidgey, or even a rare candy if there is a Pidgeot in hand. So what are we going to see here as those options from Arven? And it looks like the options are a Night Stretcher, and do we see a throwaway tool? Actually does have another Bravery Charm, so curious to see what that Night Stretcher grabs. Could potentially grab a Rotom, could grab a couple more options. Of course, lots and lots of options are available. And we're going to see that Night Stretcher played immediately. Going to grab a Rotom, so does really want to get that draw engine re-established here as the Rotom is benched. And a Bravery Charm goes onto that Rotom and is going to make it a lot harder to KO here. And we're going to see Instant Charge here. Back over to Terapagos, going to see a Nest Ball. It's very strange to see a full board with Nest Ball, but due to that Area 0 Underdepths, it is a legal play, which is very nice. And it looks like going to grab a second Terapagos and just put it on the field, try and thin the deck more. Likely trying to hit a boss's orders. And Assault Landing is used here for the knockout after benching a Pheasantipity alongside that Terapagos. The Milotic EX is promoted on the other side here. We're going to need quite the miracle here to win this game. Of course, only needing 2 prize cards, so could potentially knock out one of the benched 2 prize Pokemon. We're going to see a Mist Energy on that Rotom, as well as... looks like debating the next option, but it is a Misfortune Sisters. Hitting nothing there, they're all going to get shuffled back in. I think at this point there's not too many items left in the deck. We're going to then see a Pal Pad used to shuffle in some supporters. Didn't get to see quite what they were. And we're going to see an Instant Charge, nothing too crazy. Of course, not taking the knockout here is rather interesting, but at this point, if a knockout is taken, that Ursaluna can just knock out in return. We are indeed going to see a Pidgey benched here. Of course, can rare candy into Pidgeot, potentially, and find that last card if an Iono hits here. And we're not likely to see anything else but an Assault Landing here. And that's exactly what it is. So, going to have 100 HP on that Milotic with 170 remaining. Back over to Matt here. What is he going to do? It's do or die. He's running out of time here. We're going to see a boss's orders on the Terapagos. This is really interesting. And we're also going to see an attack. So if there's no double turbo here or another way to get out of the active, then the game is over. Looks like it's a heads though, so it does wake up. We're going to see an Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball gets rid of the Noctowl, and the boss's order is going to grab the Pidgeot. Does have the rare candy in hand, so that rare candy into Pidgeot. Going to use Quick Search, and the option is Thornton. This is some next level play here. We're going to see the Thornton to knock out the Rotom and give the opponent a prize card. This is really good because that Ursaluna can then attack for 0 energy, and that's the game, folks. That's it. The Terapagos player ends up winning, of course, using those Dusknoir and the Thornton to give the opponent the prize cards needed to use that Ursaluna late game. Fantastic play from both players and a fantastic match overall. Thank you all so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our other videos. We're going to have more content posted soon, and look forward to our vlogs from both Worlds and Sacramento Regionals, as well as some other quick and fun content. Thanks again. My name is Andy. This is Controlled Chaos Gaming, and we'll see you guys next time.